Welcome to day 15. Today we're going to be looking at Genesis chapter 37 to 38, Psalm 7, and Luke 15. This will be covering the beginning of the story of Joseph and the story of the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. So as we start in the story of Joseph in Genesis, we're really moving into a little bit of a different genre, a different writing style in the book of Genesis. Up till now, we've had a lot of little vignettes about different people, but not necessarily a comprehensive, cohesive, entire narrative about the people we've been reading about. Joseph is more like, a short story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's going to be more continuity going through his entire story. Two other interesting things about this story is there's no direct appearances of God. There's one later on, but for the most part, God is working behind the scenes. It's about faithfulness to God, but there's not a lot of direct interaction with God. Also, this is mostly set in Egypt. So it's not in the land of Judah, the land of Canaan, the land of Israel as we understand it today. Joseph has a series of dreams as we go through the Joseph story, and the first one is a pretty powerful dream, but we see how immature Joseph is. Now, Joseph is a favored son of Jacob, which has caused some dysfunctional family dynamics among the brothers. He is the firstborn child of Joseph's favorite wife, Rachel. But you can tell in how he brings his dream to his brothers, how immature he is, how he himself has been buying into the favoritism of his father. And he really sounds like a snotty little brat. And his brothers are not taking all of this. Now, as we have seen in the story of Dinah, the brothers of Joseph, the sons of Jacob, have a tendency towards violence. They have a tendency towards not valuing human life, and they have a tendency to overreact to things. This is not a super great example of family values, but perhaps we all can learn from the flaws of this family. So the brothers, as they decide to get back at Joseph and eventually end up selling him into slavery and sending him off to Egypt. This whole vignette, the brothers end up deceiving the father. Now, their father is Jacob. Now, Jacob has a history of his own trickster decisions. He deceived his own father, and now he is being deceived by his sons. The trickster is being tricked. We will be continuing on the story of Joseph in future days, but the text at this point diverts into a chapter that talks about Tamar and Judah. Now, Judah is one of the sons of Jacob, but Judah dies before Tamar gets pregnant and gives birth to a son. So when someone dies, a husband dies before a child is born to the wife, the brother of the husband is expected to marry the wife and make sure that the family lineage continues. In this case, for a variety of reasons, some of which may be somewhat understandable, the brothers choose not to take on Tamar as a wife. Now, she has left her family when she marries Judah, so she cannot go back to her family. But without a son, she has no standing within Jacob's family. So she is a widow who becomes one of those people without a blood connection to anyone. Her blood connection to her family was broken when she married into a new family. So she is alone. She needs protection. She needs support. And the family she married into is refusing to provide this. Tamar has often been described as a harlot or a prostitute in English translations, but really the problem that we see in the Hebrew is not so much prostitution, but adultery. Because through her betrothal and marriage to Judah, she is betrothed to the entire family. And while the brothers have not taken on their responsibility with her, she is still betrothed to the brothers, even though their marriage has not been consummated. So by going and sleeping with Jacob, she is committing adultery because this is not the man she is supposed to be sleeping with. So that is just something important to keep in mind here of what the legal process is, what the legal culture is, and what exactly Tamar is doing. When she manages to work things out where she encounters Jacob in such a way that Jacob agrees somewhat unknowingly to sleep with her, she does give birth to a child. She presents the tokens that Jacob had given her that make Jacob realize what happened, and Jacob realized that Tamar is in the right. Tamar did the right thing. Jacob and his sons had failed her. Jacob and her sons had violated the cultural agreement of the community. So Tamar redeems herself, but more importantly, Tamar maintains the bloodline of the brother Judah, one of the tribes of Jacob, of Israel. And this is the tribe that eventually produces David and eventually goes on to produce Jesus. So Tamar is the one in this story who is showing faithfulness to God, who is maintaining the cultural rules, who is making sure that she is not left and abandoned by the family. And through her faithfulness, along with others' faithfulness, the family of Judah continues on to fulfill the plan that God had for it. For Psalm 7, I just want to point out this is an individual petition. As we're looking at the Psalms and reading through them, it's helpful to sometimes think a little bit about the structure, because sometimes this gives us some insight as to what's being said and how it applies to our lives. In this one, the person is claiming innocence, but what I think we can really take away from this is that God is inviting us into a relationship. And a relationship means we're in communication, we're in conversation. We get to tell God what we're thinking, what's going on in our lives. We get to share what we're going through with God, and we even get to argue and debate sometimes with Him. And so I want you to read Psalm 7 and really think of it on a personal level. The chapter in Luke starts with the story of the lost sheep, where all of heaven is rejoicing when the shepherd goes out and finds the one sheep that is lost. I have been in several churches where people are more concerned about the 99 who have been found and are in the sheepfold than about the one that is lost. And in fact, they actually get a little upset that Jesus and the pastor, the leaders of the church, are focusing so much of their time on going to find the people who are lost. They often phrase this by saying, oh, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of the 99. Who is taking care of us? I think one of the things for us to remember here is that if we are part of the 99 and we are in the sheepfold, then Jesus has already found us, and Jesus has been teaching us. And Jesus very intentionally was teaching his followers as we're reading through the Gospels, and he was teaching them to take care of themselves, take care of each other, and to do Jesus' work of going out to find the lost. So if we are sitting around complaining that no one is taking care of us, then we haven't really learned Jesus' lesson that Jesus has equipped us to care for ourselves and to go and find the lost. It is not an either or. We don't just do one and not the other. We do them both. We are to be focused on going out and finding the lost. Jesus prepares us so that we are ready to do that. So Jesus then, the rest of the chapter goes on with more lost stories. There's the widow who searches for the lost coin, and there's the father who welcomes the returning son, the prodigal son, back. And I think the fact that Jesus has 3 stories and that the writer of the Gospels put all of them together in this one section, I think there's a serious emphasis by Jesus that what is lost needs to be found. And Jesus has given us the job of going and finding the lost, those who have been outcasts, those who've been set aside, those who just have had life experiences that have made them feel alone. And it is our job, our task given to us by Jesus, that is to be our focus, to get out there and find these people and bring them together, that they know God's love and grace in their lives. Once again, Jesus is really setting the bar pretty high. This is not easy. Jesus is expecting a lot of us, but Jesus also prepared us to be able to meet this challenge. Hope you have a super day. We'll see you next time.